Hello and welcome to a different kind of video today. This is the most requested thing I've had so far from everyone who's been watching my videos, is how do you start a Minecraft server? And a couple of guys at school actually wanted to make their own little one for when they're at home and want to play with friends, but they're not quite sure how. Yes, you can go single player and open your world up to the network, but that doesn't really give you the option of plugins. And as far as I know, Realms doesn't give you plugins either, although I have to be honest, I've never tested that. So today I'm going to show you how to create your own Minecraft server. I've got sheep in the background. As you can hear, my Minecraft client is actually open on my machine. What you see in front of you is actually a virtual installation of Windows 7 running on my computer, so it's just been installed. The only thing I put on is Java so far, because you do need that for Minecraft. Otherwise it's a clean install, so we can start from scratch and you can see exactly how we do it. The other thing I got on, sorry, I lied about only having Java. I've got Chrome on as well because I just can't stand using Internet Explorer. Although I do hear Internet Explorer is the #1 browser in the world for downloading other internet browsers, so I suppose it's got that going for it. The first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to download Java from java.com. Let's just get that up for you. So it's java.com. Just free download, and it'll choose the version you want. Just agree and install. That's fine, you don't have to do anything else with it. However, you might want to download both the 32-bit and the 64-bit version if you have 64-bit Windows. Chances are, if you're installing this on a machine that you've been using for a while and you actually have Minecraft running already, you already have Java installed, so you won't need to do this step. But if you don't, then that's something you need to do. Then there are several different ways of running a Minecraft server, one of which is downloading the official Minecraft server files, but I found those very limited in what they could do. Their plugin support was non-existent back when I tried it. I don't know about it now, but certainly on the servers that I frequent, no one runs the official Mojang Minecraft server files. Then there's Craft Bucket, which I used for a long time. In fact, the Quicksoft server was hosted on that since the day it started, and those did us very well. We had lots of plugins, great support, great community, and generally if there was a problem with it, it was fixed relatively quickly actually. But in 1.7.9 or 1.7.10, I can't remember, they actually stopped updating it, and then a new branch of that came out called Spigot, and Spigot is what we use now. It's essentially the same thing as Craft Bucket, and in fact most of the old plugins that we used are all compatible with Spigot, because it is literally just a branch off of what we used before. So on the Spigot website they actually have a guide on how to install it, but this is slightly outdated because it still wants you to compile the files yourself. And while I did that the first time, there's a much easier way now. They've really simplified it. So you just open a new tab and you go to getspigot.org. I will of course put that in the description below. And here you go, it says Get Spigot, and you get Spigot 1.8 and get Craft Bucket 1.8. Now, Spigot did either help or they just linked to a new version of Craft Bucket which does support 1.8, but I did have problems with that when I created the Clarkcraft server. We had it for a while, but some of our plugins were a little bit iffy, so I swapped to Spigot and I never had a problem after that. So I'm going to go ahead and just get Spigot 1.8. See at the bottom it's an 18 meg download. It won't take too long. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to open that folder. I'm going to keep it. A .jar file is a Java file, and sometimes your computer might not like them. So if it asks if you want to keep it, then you just say yes. So I'm going to show in the folder. I'm just going to right click, copy, and on my desktop I'm going to make a folder called Minecraft. And I'm going to paste that spigot.jar, spigot server.jar file there, and now we can close that for now. So here we go, we've got our Minecraft folder with Spigot in it. I'm going to read the instructions a bit. I want to go back to the installation. It says compile. We've already done that. Well, we haven't done that, but we've already got the file. Like I said, that's the old method. The new method is the getspigot.org .org. Then we got to launch the server, you must create a start script. Do this by adding the following text to a text document and saving it as a bat file in the same directory. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy that text, copy. I'm going to go back into my Spigot folder. Let's just close that just to make the window look a bit nicer. I'm going to right click, new, text document, and we'll call it start. Once we open our start document, we're going to go paste, and this is where things change a little bit. You no longer need the -xms 512. That can go out. Please make sure there's a space between Java and your minus sign. And just like that, we don't need your max perm size anymore either. That applies if you have Java 8 and above. However, our Spigot is actually called Spigot server, so underscore server, and I find that sometimes a gig of RAM's not enough. In fact, the Clarkcraft server runs on 4 gig of dedicated memory for itself. So you can change this. Remember, there's 1024 megabytes every gigabyte. So I'm going to say this one can have 2 gig of memory. Let's hope our virtual machine here can handle it, because when I set it up, I only allowed it to have 3 gigs, but that should be fine. We go File, Save As, Start.bat. Go Save. And what that does is that creates a Windows batch file, or bat executable. We're going to go Start. And you'll see, as this loads now, it says loading libraries, you'll see it'll build your Minecraft server files up to that point the first time. You'll get a logs, a server properties, and a ULA. It says here you need to agree to the EULA, the end user license agreement, in order to run the server. Go to ula.txt for more information. Stopping server. So we have to go open the ULA. You go ULA and we put true. We can close it, save, and for the second time we start our server. This time you'll see it go much further. This might pop up the first time if your Windows firewall loaded. Just say allow access, that's not a problem. You will see it says preparing spawn area. It creates all the folds. It creates a world, a nether, and an end world all in one shot. You get a whole lot of other commands as well. Not other commands, sorry. Other files, which I'll go through shortly. There's a commands file. That's what made me think of that. And it says done. So we actually need to stop our server now, because we can. Continue. And now I'm going to go through things. When you download plugins, which I will show you a little bit just now, you go to the plugins folder and you just paste them here. You got your world, and it's interesting to note that your player data is stored in your player data folder. So if a player gets into a corrupt area or their inventory becomes corrupted, you can track their folder, their inventories here, or their player files, and you can actually delete them from this folder here. I've had to do that once on the Clarkcraft server. Then you've got banned players and banned IP addresses. So if someone is messing with your server, they're griefing, they're causing problems, you can /ban them, or you can /ban them via their IP address, which means even if they log into another account from the same computer, it still won't let them on. Then we got commands and bucket, and then we come down to probably the most important one, the server.properties. So we go open, and that's fine. Select install programs. I'm going to say Notepad. So there we go, and it says here Minecraft server properties. Tells you when you started it. It says generator settings, op permissions. I've never done that. Allow nether is equal true. If you do false, people can make portals, but when they stand in the portal, nothing will happen. Resource pack hash, you won't really need to worry about that. Level name is equal to world. Now, if you have a plugin like Multiverse, which allows you to have multiple worlds, if you want to set a default world where people log into the first time, you'll set that world there. So you can have 2, 3, 4 worlds all loading through this plugin, but that world which you specify here, which is the same as our world over there, will be the one that they log into for the first time. Enable query, that is just to do statistics. I think allow flight is equal to false. That doesn't affect people if they're in game mode 1, which is creative. It will affect them if they try and use a flight hack or mod. If they look like they're hovering too much, it'll actually kick them out the game. Announce players' achievements equals true, so if you get an achievement, it'll actually announce to every other player. Server port, very important. 25565 is the default port. So if you type in clarkcraft.net or whatever, I make an IP address one day, as long as my server's on 25565, that is fine. However, if I make my server 25566, which is the secondary port I sometimes use the test server on, if you want to connect to the test server, you'll have to type in clarkcraft.net colon 25566, because it only generally searches on the 25565 port. But you won't really have to worry about that unless you're hosting multiple servers on one computer. Max world size, I've never really changed that. It says here level type, default. You get several types. You get super flat, you get amplified, which is absolutely amazing but requires quite a nice computer to run. And I normally leave it in default. And there's also large biomes. I think the Clarkcraft server is large biomes because I do find default the biomes are quite small, and especially building a big project, it often moves between at least 2, maybe 3 biomes occasionally. Don't worry about Archon. Then you've got level seed. If you want a specific seed for a map, which is like I'm trying to think of a way to describe it. If you see someone playing on a certain map in one of your favorite YouTube videos and you like that map and you want to play on that map, you can ask for the seed, you punch in the seed there, and it'll actually create the map with the same terrain, and it'll be exactly the same as the map that they're playing on, as long as you have the same seed. Force game mode, we used to have that. That's if your server is set for survival, but someone has the ability to play in game mode 1, which is your creative. If they log off in creative, when they log back on, it will kick them back to survival by default, because that's your default game mode. Your server IP, that is important, but sometimes you don't actually need it for what you'll be doing with it. I'm sure you won't. Network compression threshold, don't worry. Max build height 256, that's as high as it can go. And these next ones are quite important. You've got spawn NPCs, those are your villagers, which is set for true. Whitelist, this is very important, that's false. A whitelist is the ability to only allow certain players with certain names to join. So if I only want 4 of my friends to be able to join my server, I'll say whitelist true, and I'll type their names in the list. If anyone else tries to join, they'll get a message saying, sorry, the server's whitelisted. Spawn animals, true. Hardcore, false. Now hardcore mode is a little more challenging, because as soon as you die, you can't join again. If you're playing a single player world and it's hardcore, when you die, the world's deleted. For a server, it actually bans you from the game. Then we've got snooper enabled. That is just so I think Mojang or Spigot can do random anonymous statistics off your server. Online mode true, that is very important. If you want players who have the legitimate copy of the game only to play, then you set that to true. If you want people to be able to use hack clients and stuff, you set that to false. I would never recommend setting that to false, because if your name is such that you are the only op in the server, someone else can change their name and log in pretending to be you, and then they have full rights to your server and they can destroy it. Resource pack, I've never done that, but apparently you can specify a resource pack that is pushed to the client, so anyone joining will have to play with your resource pack. PvP equals true, difficulty equals 1, enable command block equals false. Now these are a little bit more advanced and we should go into them in another video. Game mode naught, naught is survival, 1 is creative, 2 is adventure, that's where you can play but you can't break any blocks, and 3 is spectator, where you can fly around and you basically an invisible head that floats around. play idle timeout. That is just if you want players to be kicked off after they idle for too long. Normally this is handled by another plugin, so I don't ever set that in my server properties. Your max players, this is dependent on how many people you want to play and what your connection handle. The Clarkcraft is set to 10 because I think once we hit 5 or 6 players, my upload speed is kind of killed and it just becomes laggy for everyone. Not because the server can't handle it, but because my connection can't handle it. If you've got a decent connection, like if you're hosting it properly at a data center and you have a decent enough virtual machine, then you can set it as high as you want. Spawn monsters equals true. Generate structures equals true. That's important because that will generate your villages, your jungle temple, your desert temple, and your underwater temple. Your view distance is 10. Just be aware that setting that higher to say 15 puts pressure on your server and your machine. And your MOTD, your message of the day, a Minecraft server. So we're going to say a demo server. So anyone who pops up once you type the name, that will be the text that appears underneath it. We're going to go save. And then we can start it back up again. Your next thing to do is I'm going to go cmd command. I'm going to do ipconfig. This basically tells you my local IP addresses. This is the IP address on my network. I will show you how to get your external IP address just now. But for now, seeing as I'm only testing this in my home network, I'm not getting a friend of mine to test it elsewhere. This is what I need to know. So it's 10.0.0.24. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut back to my machine and we will try join this new server from my machine. So here we are on my Minecraft client. As you see, we got Clarkcraft. Then we got the Clarkcraft test server, and I've actually specified there that runs at 25566. We got the old sandbox server, which I would like to do a little tour of sometime, but I'd like to drop my client back down to 1.7.9. And then I've got Exumavoid's server, which I have visited, and I've actually watched him do some of his live streams while I've been watching in-game what he's doing. So we're going to go add server, and I'm going to say demo. I'll put there Clarkcraft. I'm going to go server address, and remember it was 10.0.0.24. And I'm going to say done. And here you go. It picks it up automatically. It says a demo server, correct. Demo Clarkcraft, and I'm going to go double click, and in we go. And here we are. We are in our new server, which is running a little bit slow, but that's because I am running a virtual machine, recording, and then running Minecraft within inside a virtual machine and the Clarkcraft server all on the same piece of hardware. Some of my PC is taking a little bit of strain right now, but as I move out that hole, it gets a little bit better. But this is quite plain. Can I even do plugins? You can see we have no plugins. So what I think we need to do is go back onto our server, close this down, and see if we can't find some plugins. Alright, we're back in our server, and I've shut down the Minecraft server. What I've done is I've gone to dev.bucket.org, which is where you find all your plugins, and I'm going to look for the main plugin I use on Clarkcraft, which is Command Book, which essentially gives you my custom message of the day. It gives me my kick and ban commands. I can change my game mode and my game mode of other people easily. I can set homes. It's quite powerful. On the Clarkcraft, the permissions aren't properly set up yet, so it doesn't quite work for everyone, but it does work for the admins. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go Command Book. And when it says scope, I'm going to change it to projects only. Search results. And here we go, Command Book. Click OK. So this is his page. It's his description. It tells you what everything does. It gives you all the options, it gives you the installation instructions. And one thing I forgot, with this plugin you do require World Edit. This might be a bad example, but we'll say download. And we are going to say download. And it's downloading down there, but it also says we need World Edit. So I'm going to say download there, download. This version is compatible with Spigot 1.8 to 1.88, but not Bucket, which is a good thing. We went with Spigot. Right, so I'm going to go show in folder. That's finished. I'm going to extract command book. Don't show me, it's fine. So I'm going to go command book. I'm going to say copy. I'm going to go back into my Minecraft folder. I'm going to go into the plugins. I'm going to say paste. Come back here. I'm going to take my world edit. Even though it says bucket, it's fine. World edit bucket 6.1. Paste. And there's my 2 plugins. I'm going to go just close that. And I'm going to say start. Now if we watch, make this a little bit bigger. Might take a little bit longer this time because it's learning the plugins for the first time. But let's have a look. It says command book loaded, world edit loaded. Brilliant. And in fact, if I say plugins, it does indeed show that both world edit and command book are in the green, meaning they're working. So if I go back to my Minecraft and I go log in, and I come back to the server quickly, you'll see Captain Clark is logged in. So I'm going to say op Captain Clark. I'm only doing that because we don't have permissions installed yet, so everything has to be an op to be able to be used. So I go plugins now in game, and you see it says command book and world edit. In fact, it even says here, this is the default command book message of the day. This is what you'll see when you join. So it says, hello Captain Clark, the time is now, such and such, you're on world. But you see it's not being configured properly. I'll show you that in a second. But now, if I go /wand, I can get my command book wand. I can say, click from there to there. I can say, set diamond ore. And there you go, I've got diamonds. But I'm going to disconnect from there, and I'm going to go back across to the server. See, I've left the game. Now, I don't have to close the server this time, I'll just minimize it, but if I go back into the plugins folder, you will see it's now generated a command book and a world edit folder. And from there, I can actually go and change settings. But it looks awful like this. I'll show you what to do about it now. Notebook is not good really for editing things. I use a program called Notebook++, and let me just go install it now quickly on the server. I haven't done that yet. Like I said, this is a fresh install. Okay, I'm going to go right click, edit with Notepad++. Right, and now you can see it looks a lot better. Most plugins will come with a configured file like this, and this is how you change. You can see here, message of the day. I'm going to say hello, and I don't like these 2 lines, so I'm just going to delete that. Leave it out like that. And it says the rules, don't use any tools to give you an unfair advantage, such as hacks or anything like that. Okay, and that's what I'm going to change. It lists all the components. So bands, homes, warps, AFK, messaging, teleport, etc, etc, etc. Freeze is a nice one. If you /freeze someone, they can't move. It's good for catching people who are doing something they're not allowed to do. But we will move on. So I'm going to say save. And you'd think that you'd have to shut down the server, but you don't. If you know the name of the plugin, in this case command book, so it's cmd book reload, and it reloads the plugin for you while the game is running. Alternatively, if you really have to, and I don't like doing this because it used to kick players off, you can do a reload, which reloads everything. But in fact, I think I even saw, yes, it is no longer supported and recommends that you don't do that. It can end up kicking you off. Right. Now comes to the fun part. If you want a friend to connect to you from outside of your home network, say your friend's at home, he wants to join your server, things get more complicated. I'm going to show you that now. First thing you need to find is your external IP address. That's the IP address given to you by your internet service provider. That is what is connected to your router. So I'm going to say, come back to Chrome, open new tab, you go to whatsmyip.org, and it will specify your IP address. In my case, it's 169.0.64.41, and I can confidently show you that because in a few hours that is going to change, and you will not be able to access my network via that IP address. Your IP address changes every 24 hours and is specified by your router or your PC if your PC dials into the internet. So once you know that, you can then give that to your friend, and then he can connect to your server. But before you get that far, there's a thing called port forwarding. Port forwarding is telling your router where to send certain types of information. So if your friend tries to connect to your network or your IP address in his Minecraft client, his Minecraft client will send a request using that port that you specified, and like we said before, 25565 as your default port. It'll go to your router, and then you need to tell your router which computer to send that to. That is done by knowing what your IP address is and knowing how to set up port forwarding on your router. In my case, I will show you how it's done. I have a Netgear DGN 1000 version 3, and on my router I go advanced, port forwarding, and it brings up this page here. As you can see, I already got a Minecraft server set up, which will then go to my personal machine where the Clarkcraft server is hosted. If I were to change this to go to my number 24, 10.0.0.24, which is this virtual machine, instead of getting the Clarkcraft server, you will actually get this server if you try and join the Clarkcraft. So I'm not going to change it. However, you can go add custom service. You wait for it to load. Specify service name. In my case it was Minecraft. I did specify TCP and UDP. I put in 25565 and 25565, and then I specified my IP address. If you don't know your IP address, some routers may give you a list of ones that are currently on the network. As you can see, it's already picked up my virtual machine, which I'm on at the moment. It's being called Minecraft. You can use that one. I'm not going to do it because otherwise it'll mess up my services already there. But you click apply and it will appear there. Every router is different, and there's a website called port forwarding. Portforward.com, and this is the website I used to use before I knew what to do. It is quite clever. All you do is you go port forwarding guides, and you pick the make of your router. The standard one you get with Telcom is Billion or Netgear, so we'll just click on Billion, and we will wait for the advert to go, and it will come up with a whole range of models. You pick your model. In this case, let's just go this one because I used to have one of these, and it would probably even have a Minecraft option. These are different games with different ports, so we'll just go down to M for Minecraft. Oh, not that far. Down here, no, it's up at the top. And here we go. So we're going to go Minecraft server. And here it'll show you exactly what to do, how to log into your router, where to go, and what to do. Very simple, very easy. Like I said before, go port forwarding guides, choose your make, choose your model, choose your game, and it'll tell you exactly how to do your port forwarding. All you need to know is to go CMD IP config and to find out what your IP address is. And there you have it. Quick guide on how to set up your own home Minecraft server. I hope this guide has helped you. If you have any questions, queries, please leave a comment below. If you liked the video, leave me a like. If you disliked it, you know where to find that button as well. If you liked it enough to subscribe, thank you very much. Please be on the lookout for more Minecraft videos and more guides in the future. I'm Captain Clark.